Hello students, welcome back. This is the continuation of same video that we have done in our previous class. So again I am going to show you how to create a query using another example. So let us begin. So this time I have created my database with the building name, city, number of floors the cities are having, the heights in meter, and the years those buildings were built. In my last video, I have created a database on the teachers, the subjects they are teaching, about the gender, and the level at which they were teaching. So you can consider this as a second example with the query, working with a query. Now again let me show you how to create a query. So you can go to the create tab, and in my last video I have already said that queries can be created using query wizard or query design. So let me choose query design. Now once I click in the query design, it will display a show table dialog box. Now inside the show table dialog box you will see a list of database. Right now I have created a database with the name top 10 buildings. So you can click on the add button to add it in the query design window. Click on add. You can see here the fields name of your database has been entered inside the query window. Now you can close the button. So if you go through the previous video, in that video I have already said that there are two windows, one at the top and one at the bottom. The top window contains the database name or the database created in the table, and the bottom window it consists of a grid, that is with the field row, table row, sort row, show, criteria and other. So in that video I have already explained the functions of each and every fields here. Now let us enter the field name in the grid. So if you want to enter the field name, either you can click the mouse button and you can drag it and place it in the field. So in the field row you will be entering the name of the fields like building name, city, number of floors, height in meters and years. Another way is you can double click on the field will directly get added down. So double click on the field. As you double click, all the field name will appear in the field row. See, and the table, in the table row it is showing me top 10 buildings because this is the name of my table in the database. And sort, you already know how to sort it either in the ascending or descending order. In the last class I have showed you what is the function of show option here. So once you deselect the checkbox, when you run the query, those checkbox that are deselected will not appear in the query. So it is up to you whether you want to show the certain field or not. So right now I will be showing all the 5 rows. Now the very important point is criteria. So criteria works just like a filter, but what happens in the filter, you cannot use more than one condition, but here in the using a criteria option you can use more than one condition. So that is the benefit of using criteria in query. Now suppose say, let me go back to my database. See, so there are at least 10 building names with the name of the cities, and as I have already said, number of floors, height in meters and the years they were built. Now I will use the criteria in a query to display a particular field. Now this is a query. So right now you can see it as a query 1 because I have not saved the query. Once you save the query, then you can specify the file name for a query. Now how will you go back to the query? You can click here. You will go back to the query design window. Now suppose say in the year, let me go in the criteria row in the year field, and let me type here, suppose say 2010, means I want to see all the buildings that were built in the year 2010. Now how will you run the query? You have to click on the design tab. In the result group you will see a run button, so you can click on this run button to run the query. Now you see, as I click on this run button, now it is showing me only the list of say 4 buildings here that were built in the year 2010. So it is showing me the record of each and every building, the city that it is located, the number of floors and the height in meter. Now let me go back to my query window once again. So you can right click the mouse button in the query window and go to design view. All these options I have already showed you in the previous window, how to run the query, how to go back to the design window. So click on design view, you will be moving to the design window. Now let me give here say city. Let me specify one city whether it is there or not. Suppose say Beijing, 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 and let me run the query. Now right now it is not showing me anything because all those buildings that were built in the year 2010, none of the building was built in a Beijing. So let me go back to my database and see whether it is true or not. Okay, you can see those buildings that were built in 2010, none of those buildings were built in Beijing. So now right click on the query, go to design view. Now let me write here say in the city name Hong Kong. Now run the query. Now it is showing me the record of one building, that is International Commerce Center. So it is located in the city of Hong Kong. It has 118 floors. It is showing me the height of meter and the years it was built. Now what happened here? Previously it was showing me 4 buildings that were built in the year 2010 because I have given the criteria in the year field as 2010. Now again in the second time in the city field I have given the criteria as Hong Kong, so it has hide those 3 buildings and it has showed only the buildings that was made in Hong Kong. Now you can go to the query, right click the mouse button, go to design view, and let me remove the Hong Kong from the city field. You just run it, you will see all those buildings that were built in 2010. So in this way you can specify your own criteria in the query design view and you can create a query of a database. So query is very useful if you want to retrieve the data from a huge number of database. So in this way you can use a query. Suppose say if there is a building with the floor number 66, let me check it whether any building is there with the floor number 66. I don't want to give the year. Let me check it. Go to run. So it is showing me one tower, that is Jeffing Tower, with the number of floors at 62, built in the year 2010. Now again let me go to the query, right click the mouse button, go to design view. Now let me check how many buildings were made in Kuala Lumpur. So in the city field let me type the name of the city like Kuala Lumpur and run. none of the buildings are there, or maybe I have typed it wrongly. Okay, it's Kuala Lumpur. So let me go back to the design view again. It is U. So it is Kuala Lumpur. Now run it. You can see two buildings, that is Petronas Tower 1 and Petronas Tower 2, that was built in the city of Kuala Lumpur, and they have the same number of floors like 88. The one of the height is 452, and both were built in 1998. Now again let me go to the query window, click on design view. Now hiding meter. So in hiding meter, let me type 452 and go to the run button. Now you can see there is only one building. Now instead of two building, it is showing me only one building, that is a height of 452. So in this way you can use a query to retrieve data. So if you want to move back to the query window, again in the query, right click the mouse button, go to design view. Now let me remove all those things. I don't want to give any of the criteria. Just I have removed all the criteria. Now go to the run button and see it. Now it is showing me all the buildings, that is top 10 buildings of the world in my database. Now how will you save the query? You can right click the mouse button and click on save button. You can give one name, suppose say buildings, click on OK. Now if you go at the left hand side, you will see buildings here. So this is my query. If you go at the top, you can see top 10 building. This is the name of my table, and this building is the name of my query. Again, if you go at the top, you can see here top 10. This is the name of my building. Sorry, this is the name of my table, and if you see a building, this is the name of my query. So in this way you can create a query. So I have already explained you with two examples, one in the previous video and one in this video. So you can open Access and you can practice it at home. Thank you, children.